These are the symptoms of a bad purge valve, one of the most common yet misunderstood failures in your car's emission system. Ford recalled over 1.5 million Focus vehicles because of this part, and Hyundai issued a recall in 2025 covering more than 85,000 Sonatas after faulty purge valves caused fuel tanks to melt and created fire risks. Most drivers have never even heard of this component, and that's exactly why you need to know what it does, every symptom that signals failure, how to diagnose it yourself, and what happens when you ignore it. A $100 fix now can save you thousands down the road. The canister purge valve goes by a few names, including EVAP purge valve, canister purge solenoid, and vapor canister purge valve, but they all describe the same thing. This small electronically controlled solenoid acts as a gatekeeper between your charcoal canister and your engine's intake manifold. Here's how the whole system works. Fuel in your tank heats up when the engine is off, creating vapors that flow through vent lines to a charcoal canister containing about 1 to 2 pounds of activated carbon pellets that absorb the hydrocarbons. The purge valve stays closed during this collection phase, and that changes once your engine reaches operating temperature around 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Your car's computer starts pulsing the purge valve open using pulse width modulation, cycling the valve at duty cycles anywhere from 0 to over 70%. Engine vacuum then pulls fresh air through the canister, strips those stored vapors from the carbon, and routes them into the intake manifold where they burn as fuel. One thing worth knowing is that a working purge valve makes a rhythmic clicking noise during operation. That clicking sound under the hood is actually a good sign, not something to worry about. Location varies depending on your vehicle, but most sit in the engine bay near the intake manifold or throttle body, usually on the driver's side. Some manufacturers mount it directly on the charcoal canister near the fuel tank. Look for a small black plastic component with a 2-wire electrical connector and 2 hose connections. Now for the symptoms, and this is where things get interesting, because the symptoms change dramatically depending on how the valve fails. The check engine light is the most obvious symptom across the board, since your car's computer runs periodic tests on the EVAP system monitoring pressure changes. When expected, vacuum or flow doesn't happen, that light comes on and trouble codes get stored. What you experience beyond that light depends entirely on whether your purge valve is stuck open or stuck closed. A stuck open purge valve functions as a vacuum leak, allowing unmetered air into your engine and throwing off the air-fuel ratio your computer calculated. Rough or erratic idle comes first with a stuck open valve because your engine can't maintain steady RPM when it's getting air it didn't ask for. That leads to engine stalling in severe cases, especially at idle speeds when the engine just can't compensate anymore. Difficulty starting becomes a real problem, especially after refueling when there's a lot of fuel vapor present. All those vapors flood into the engine at the wrong time with a stuck open valve, essentially flooding it with fuel. Hyundai vehicles like the Elantra, Santa Fe, and Tucson show this symptom frequently, and the same goes for various Audi and Volkswagen models. Weak acceleration and engine hesitation show up because your ECU is constantly trying to correct an air-fuel ratio that keeps changing, and engine misfires happen for the same reason when combustion gets disrupted by an improper mixture. Poor fuel economy follows since the engine runs rich from all that extra fuel vapor entering at inappropriate times. And here's one that might surprise you. A collapsed or deformed fuel tank can happen when a stuck open purge valve combines with a closed vent valve, creating extreme vacuum in your fuel tank. This exact scenario triggered Ford's massive 1.5 million vehicle recall, and according to NHTSA investigation records, that defect caused 5 crashes and 2 injuries from stalling incidents related to fuel tank deformation. Stuck closed symptoms are actually subtler and your car might run relatively normally. The check engine light comes on, but driving feels pretty much the same. A whooshing sound when you remove your gas cap indicates excessive tank pressure that wasn't being relieved properly. Fuel odor near the tank or under the hood means those vapors that should be burning are instead building up and potentially escaping. Decreased fuel economy happens because trapped fuel vapors in the canister never get burned, meaning you're literally wasting fuel that could have contributed to combustion. Failed emissions tests are guaranteed when DTCS are stored, and a saturated charcoal canister results when vapors can't purge properly. Premature fuel pump failure is one symptom you might not connect to the purge valve, but increasing vacuum in the tank forces your fuel pump to work harder than it should. Turbocharged vehicles face a specific risk where the check valve deteriorates and allows compressed air from the turbocharger to flow backward into the fuel tank. The tank expands until it contacts hot exhaust components, and that fire risk prompted Hyundai's 2025 recall of those 85,000 Sonatas equipped with the 1.6-liter turbo engine. The key distinction to remember is that stuck open creates immediate, noticeable drivability problems because it acts like a vacuum leak, while stuck closed primarily causes emissions and pressure issues with subtler symptoms. P0441 is the most common purge valve code, standing for EVAP system incorrect purge flow, and it appears frequently in Hyundai, Toyota, Volkswagen, and Audi vehicles. P0443 points directly to electrical problems with the valve itself as a purge control valve circuit malfunction. P0444 means circuit open, while P0445 means circuit shorted, both indicating wiring issues. Leak codes P0455 and P0456, large leak and small leak respectively, can indicate a stuck open valve preventing the system from holding pressure. P0496 specifically means high purge flow, indicating fuel vapors entering the engine during non-purge conditions, which is a classic stuck open signature. GM vehicles often show P0171 and P0174, the lean bank codes appearing alongside EVAP codes because of the vacuum leak a stuck open valve creates. Ford vehicles might display 1,450 pesos, unable to bleed up fuel tank vacuum. According to industry data, 67% of P0446 codes trace back to purge valve issues. Ignoring a bad purge valve leads to expensive collateral damage beyond guaranteed emissions, test failure. Catalytic converter damage is the most significant concern since extra fuel vapors overwork the converter, potentially causing it to overheat or melt. Replacement runs between $945 and $2,475. Oxygen sensors face additional stress from improper air-fuel mixtures and may fail early. Your charcoal canister can become permanently damaged from saturation or liquid fuel contamination, and spark plugs may foul from unburned fuel. Now for some good news about the money. Purge valves are designed to last 100,000 to 150,000 miles under normal conditions, with many lasting the entire life of the vehicle. Failures become more common beyond 100,000 miles due to heat, vibration, and contamination from fuel deposits. Parts run $35 to $227, with aftermarket options as low as $15. Labor costs $54 to $97, usually taking half an hour to an hour and a half. Total replacement comes in between $100 and $340. RepairPal data shows specific examples across different vehicles. Ford F-150 averages $216 to $258. Toyota Camry runs $295 to $328. Jeep Grand Cherokee costs only $125 to $159. And Honda Civic averages $189 to $227. Compare that $100 to $300 repair to a potential converter replacement approaching $2,500, and the math becomes pretty clear. The blow test is the simplest diagnostic you can do yourself. Remove the valve from the vehicle and with no power applied, try to blow through it. A working valve is normally closed, meaning you should meet complete resistance, and if air passes freely, your valve is stuck open. The click test comes next. Apply 12 volts directly to the valve terminals, and a functioning solenoid produces an audible click when energized. No click means the coil has failed. A multimeter lets you measure coil resistance, with the normal range falling between 14 and 30 ohms. Anything below 15 ohms indicates a short circuit, and anything outside that range signals failure. For more thorough testing, connect a hand vacuum pump to the outlet port and apply 20 to 30 inches of mercury. A good valve holds vacuum for 2 to 3 minutes without dropping, while immediate vacuum loss means internal leakage. Professional shops use smoke testing as the gold standard, connecting a smoke machine to the EVAP service port at 3 to 5 psi and watching for escaping smoke. Never exceed that pressure, or you'll damage components. Before replacing the purge valve, rule out other causes first. The gas cap is actually the most common EVAP code culprit, so always check it first. Make sure it clicks when you tighten it and inspect the seal for cracks. Gas cap issues typically cause P0455 and P0456 leak codes without drivability symptoms, while purge valve failures often produce P0441 and P0496 with rough idle or hard starting. The vent valve can fail with overlapping symptoms since it's located near the fuel tank and normally stays open, while the purge valve is normally closed and sits near the engine. Professional mechanics offer one valuable tip about gas caps. Aftermarket caps from local parts stores tend to be ineffective because OEM caps seal properly while many aftermarket options cause persistent EVAP codes. Carbon pellets from a disintegrating charcoal canister can contaminate the purge valve, and in those cases, replacing both components makes sense. A few myths need clearing up. Not every purge valve problem causes drivability issues. Many vehicles run fine with faulty purge valves where only the check engine light illuminates, particularly with stuck close failures. Cleaning a purge valve to fix it rarely works and risks further damage. Professional sources recommend replacement rather than cleaning attempts. EVAP codes don't always mean purge valve failure, since the same codes can result from gas caps, vent valves, hoses, canisters, or fuel tank pressure sensors. Proper diagnosis requires systematic testing. Check that gas cap first when you see EVAP codes. If the cap's fine, investigate the purge valve, keeping in mind that P0441 is the signature code appearing in the majority of purge valve diagnoses. The DIY blow test and click test require no expensive equipment, and a repair running $100 to $340 is far cheaper than the cascade of expensive failures that follow when you ignore it. If you drive a Ford Focus from 2012 to 2018, a GM vehicle from 2016 to 2021 like the Traverse, Trax, Sonic, Cruze, or Colorado, or a 2020 to 2023 Hyundai Sonata with the 1.6-liter turbo, check whether you're covered under extended warranty or recall programs. GM offers 15 years or 150,000 miles of coverage. Ford's customer satisfaction program provides 15 years with no mileage limit, and Hyundai's recall notifications begin in January 2026. A small component, a common failure, and an affordable fix. Don't let it turn into something bigger.